What is happening, my friends? Welcome to an exclusive here at the Arrington Gavin Show, your go-to spot for sharp insights, bold opinions, and unfiltered takes on the biggest stories of the day. Whether it's politics, sports, pop culture, or even the latest buzz, look, we're diving deep and keeping it real. So do me a favor, my friends, kick back, always stay informed, and get ready to join the conversation. Look, my friends, I am so excited. Again, we are currently live on our YouTube page, our Smooth Club Media. Please share, share with so many of your friends and family. We are live at the very moment, as well as on Facebook at our Smooth Club podcast. So be sure to subscribe and all that good stuff. Look, we got a great show in store for you today. Again, this is an exclusive because normally I'm on a little later on in the evening. But once a good buddy of mine had contacted me and he said, "Hey, look, I got somebody I think you would love to have a conversation with." And I said, "Well, you always know I'm down for a conversation." So on today's show, my friends, I get to have the opportunity to sit down with a gentleman by the name of Tommy Leeman. Tommy Leeman is the current candidate for city mayor for the city of Norfolk. Norfolk, Virginia is probably one of the premier cities in Hampton Roads and really in the state of Virginia. You have the Norfolk Scope, you have the Chrysler Hall, you have the Chartway Arena. It's so much great history that is based in Norfolk, and so I'm so excited to have a sit down convo with the gentleman who says, "Hey, look." He sees some changes that needs to be met in the city of Norfolk, and he knows that to make the citizens of Norfolk trust local office more. He's like, I'm their guy. He sees an issue and he's taking a leap of faith on running for city mayor, which is, hey, that's not an easy task. Really, any local office, in my opinion, I don't think is an easy task, but especially for mayor, it is very, very difficult. Hold on, my friends. We're making sure our guest is getting on. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, my friends. Having a little technical difficulties. No worries, no worries. That's live. What do you call it? Live television. That is live television, my friends. Look, before I move forward, I want to make sure you guys continue to support the Arrington Gavin Show. Look, we are weeknight program. You can watch us on the streaming platforms of YouTube, as well as Rumble and Facebook. You can listen to us wherever you get your podcast. You can also tune into our show Monday through Fridays at 11 p.m. on our radio affiliate, WDJY 99.1 FM, Straight Talk. Making sure our guest is, let's see, gonna give us some time. Well, look, while we're waiting, again, y'all, look, it is crunch time. It is November 4th. This is election eve. You kidding me? You hear me? Election eve. Tomorrow is the grand finale. It is the Super Bowl of all Super Bowls when it comes to politics. November 5th is election night. We have some crucial things that are at stake in this upcoming election. Of course, we have our federal race happening between Democratic nominee Kamala Harris and Republican nominee Donald J. Trump, former President Donald Trump. I've had on before Mr. Chase Oliver, who was running as the Libertarian candidate for President of the United States. We have Jill Stein. You still have Cornel West up there. I mean, there's a lot of other candidates, but as we know, your two primary candidates are Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So again, big election on there, and then when you bring it on down, at least here in the congressional race here in the Hampton Roads area, of course, we have Congresswoman long standing Congressman Bobby Scott, and then you have who's trying to keep his seat. I believe the gentleman that he's running against is John. Don't get me wrong, John Stinka, I think it is, or something like that. I'm forget. Don't quote me on that. I apologize, sir. But I don't care. But also you have Missy Connor Smazel and Jen Kiggins also in a very tight Very, very big congressional race. And then, of course, on the local level, and I'm not going to kind of go too much on the local level, but the most important one that we're going to talk about today is the mayoral race in the city of Norfolk. Again, I've talked about Norfolk before. You have the baseball team, semi-pro baseball team in the Norfolk Ties, Harbor Park. Okay, you have Norfolk State University, historic HBCU school. You also have Old Dominion University in the city of Norfolk. I mean, again, so much great history. And guys, I'm a Chesapeake guy. I consider myself a true Chesapeakean, born and raised, right? But throughout pre-K all the way up to high school, I was a private school kid. I attended Norfolk Christian School. So Norfolk has it means dear to my heart. I love the city of Norfolk. My father, he is a born and raised Norfolk guy. Let's see, a sports guy, graduated from Booker T. Washington, went on to play football at Norfolk State University, All-American there. He then went on to serve 25 years as a first responder for the Norfolk Fire Department, retired, and now he teaches at VOTEC, which is a vocational school. He's been there for about 13, 14 years, and he teaches surgery rescue, paramedics, firefighters, a whole 9 yards. So again, I have a huge place for Norfolk in my heart, man. So I'm excited to have this conversation with Tommy Leeman. I spoke with him before the show. Great guy. You could definitely hear the passion, and he's really pumped about this race. It is again a big race because he's not going against any rookie. You have incumbent Kenny Alexander, who has been mayor there, and actually the first African American mayor elected for the city of Norfolk, and has again, this race won't be easy, but again, we're going to talk about his platform and just a little bit about his background, and then go on into what does he has to bring to the table for the city of Norfolk and all the residents there, because there's a lot of things that we're going to try and impact within this show. So again, my friends, you are tuning in live to the Arrington Gavin Show. This is an exclusive called Building a Better Norfolk. Look, I have the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Tommy Leeman. So look, don't go anywhere. Look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you haven't shared it, please do, my friends, and we'll be right back. We're going to be right back. Don't go anywhere. You are tuning in to the Arrington Gavin Show. Just like a winning team evolves throughout the season, so does your beard. I'm Arrington Gavin, proud CEO of Rugged Evolution Beard Care. With our premium oils, balms, and grooming tools, it's everything you need to level up your beard game. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a rookie, Rugged Evolution is the new smooth. Order now and dominate the beard game like never before. Rugged Evolution Beard Care, because every beard deserves to be legendary. All right, my friends. Well, look, as I mentioned before, I have a special guest on that I'm excited to bring on. Without further ado, let me go ahead and bring on Mr. Tommy Leeman, candidate for Norfolk City Mayor. Tommy, how you doing, my friend?
I'm well, Arrington. Thanks for having me on.
Man, look, excited to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule, because as I mentioned earlier, look, it's November 4th. So, I mean, there is no other good time to have this conversation. It's literally crunch time. And man, it's a big moment, man, for you. And first, I want to ask if you can just share a little bit about yourself to our audience, for those who are might be unfamiliar with just your platform, but just a little background, man. Where you're from and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my parents got stationed here in 1976, and I grew up in the Ocean View part of our great city. Attended Ocean View Elementary all the way through Granby High School. So I actually graduated from Granby with a vocational degree. So when you were talking about VOTEC there on Military Highway, I attended that school. I also had the privilege of getting going back to that school and actually teaching electrical code and theory there for a few years. So when I graduated, college wasn't for me directly. So I wanted to do things, night school, things of that nature. So work during the day, night school at night. And one of the things was to get a master electrician's license. Small business, ran that for a couple of years, moved on from that into finance, which I've been doing now for 26 years, and partner at my own firm, Stewart Partners. So, I've got a beautiful wife, 27 years married. We have 2 young boys, and I say young because they're still 24 and 22, even though because they act like they're 12 and 10. But they are, graduates of Norfolk Public Schools as well. So it's awesome. And certainly I love my city. I grew up, like I said, in OV, Colonial Place, and now Meg and I, we live in Ghent.
Awesome, man. Well, look, first thing I always have to ask is, why politics, man? I'm sorry. Why the hell? What the hell are you thinking, Tommy? Like, why run? It is not something that everybody just says, you know what? I think I'm going to run, and not just any office, by the way. I mean, you're talking about being, front and center representing the city of Norfolk, a city that has great history, rich history, and also quite, has some issues that needs to be dealt with as well. So, I want to ask, man, what was going through your mind when you made that leap of faith on saying, look, I think I have what it takes. I want to run for city mayor?
Well, I would tell you one of the big things right now with running for mayor is that, you still have the same vote as anybody on council. You're still one vote, but you set the agenda. I'm the former chair of the Downtown Norfolk Council. I'm still on that board. I've been on that for 15 plus years now. And I've really had a voice, but no vote. And it's gotten frustrated to see our city and the state that it's in. I mean, we've done a lot of great things in Norfolk. There's still a lot of untapped potential that I feel. And, I've been excited for Norfolk for a long time. And we're going in directions where we have a lot of, I'll say not completed projects that's happened. It's gotten very frustrating along the way. And, and one of the things that I mentioned about having the vote the same as anyone on council is the mayor gets to set the agenda. That's the privilege. One of the things was that the mayor was always appointed. So we've had 2 mayors in 30 years. And that mayor, for 22 years, Paul Frame, most of it, he was appointed. And then, current mayor got elected in 2016. Certainly exciting time for our city. Very, very, exciting. And I thought that it just has not, really panned out the way I would want to see Norfolk in that direction. 2020 was a different year. I thought about running then as well, but we had COVID. And not to mention at that time, this is the first time the mayoral election is ever on the November ballot with the president. So I did an interview recently, and that was one of the reasons why I chose to run this year, was because it's now turned in from a sprint to a marathon. I've been able to go out and meet a lot of people, different things, civic leagues, certainly be very active in the community. So I'm looking at making some changes in Norfolk. I'm looking at collaboration, ultimately transparency, and then making direct action, really listening to the residents of Norfolk, which is something I feel that we have not been doing in a long time. And it shows, because we are home to the world's largest naval base. We're home to NATO. We should not be begging for businesses, and yet we are. And whether people are voting for me tomorrow, or if they've already voted for me or not, they're voting with their feet, and they're leaving our wonderful city. And that's been very frustrating to watch over the last several years.
Well, and I'm glad you brought up some key points, because you mentioned the fact that you have so much to offer, yet it kind of turns newcomers to the city away that are interested in possibly moving there. And I'll put myself in that pot, because my wife, she's an employed in the state. She works at Old Dominion, and she's not from Hampton Roads, which is pretty funny. She's not from Hampton Roads, and the first thing she was like, because we live in Chesapeake, she's like, oh my gosh, the distance is insane. I'm like, babe, first of all, we're a military town. Everybody literally lives like 45 plus minutes away. It's like, chill, it's fine. It's fine. But she's, was bringing up saying, well, how about we just move to Norfolk? I'm like, again, I'm a Chesapeake guy. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to. And, first thing I talk about is like flooding. And then also, I talk about crime, like in comparison to, to Chesapeake, just, and this is much my own theory. I'm like, I feel a little safe being in Chesapeake. Also, I'll bring up the, the infrastructure issues, right? I think just recently the Greyhound that's been sitting there vacant for quite some time is now going to be developed in I want to say a complex apartments and stores, if I'm not mistaken. I know it's a multi-use. Okay. The malls in Hampton Roads, I won't just say just Norfolk, but malls all around is slowly but surely coming down. But it's just sad seeing I feel like the decline of MacArthur. I remember as a kid, I used to go to MacArthur to Jeepers. It was like a little indoor gaming arcade, man. It was, and it was a booming. It was probably the best mall out of the 7 cities, right? And we've seen businesses close that. See, that dog feels my pain. He feels me. I've watched the decline of the mall. I've seen a lot of vacant real estate in Norfolk, and it's just like, okay, what's the plan? I hear this good stuff happening here, but okay, what's gonna happen over here? Like, what is the gist? I hear the casino coming, which I think is dope. I'm actually a person. I don't gamble like that, but I'm a fan of progress in cities, right? But that goes on in my mind when it comes to, okay, what can really attract me to Norfolk, right? Okay, crime is one, which is a big thing, and then as well as the flooding, and then also what's happening with all these vacant real estate spots, man. Like, what is going on here? What do they have to offer? So you being running for office, I know you've been knocking on doors, talking with a lot of residents in the city of Norfolk. What has been some of their key issues that they hope to see met, or they hope to see after this election?
Well, one of the big
or in
things,
the future, excuse me.
well, Arrington is their big focus right now is they don't feel listened to. They really, they're frustrated. They can't get an answer, or it's like, oh, we'll get back to you and nothing happens. And that's a big part. I mean, we can't even get the fundamentals straight, whether it's sidewalks, potholes, or even streetlights working. And that's been very frustrating to them. And then they see a lot of projects. You mentioned about the mall, certainly MacArthur Mall and downtown, but then you have Military Circle. We actually don't have a mall, here in Norfolk anymore. And Lynn Haven themselves has done a really good job of repurposing that area. So it does exist. One of the big things that we can certainly focus on, you mentioned crime. I don't feel crime is, it's down in certain areas. The current mayor will talk about that. I would say it's down in Norfolk, but it's down in certain areas. It's not down across Norfolk. I mean, a study was just released that we rank number 98 as the safest city. We are literally behind Newark, New Jersey as being the safest city. And I don't think we would compare ourselves with that.
Yeah.
When I look back as far as developments, and you mentioned, we've had 4 city managers in the last 8 years. We've had multiple economic development directors. We've had 4 chief of police and 2 superintendent of schools, and we're still not getting that change that we need, because I feel based on the residents, they're not being heard and listened to. We've got a lot of good stuff that we have so much to offer. You mentioned you mentioned the casino. I'm not a fan of the casino in its form now going forward, because of the size of it. It's not what was approved 4 years ago. Yes, it's a casino. Yes, it has a hotel. And yes, it's all on one permit, but it's not what was approved years ago. I certainly have confidence in the partner they picked now. And that's one of the big things. I felt the city of Norfolk has not picked good partners along the way. There's a couple of pieces we can jump around in, but you mentioned the Greyhound bus station. I mean, that's I wanted to see the Greyhound bus station do something else. We have all these residents coming into downtown Norfolk. We're building these condos or apartments, really, and we're doing some mixed use. But there's nowhere to shop, whether it's food or retail, and down, and that's an issue. Our schools. I mean, one of the things you mentioned about Chesapeake, they've got really good schools. We have Virginia Beach. Norfolk, 45% of our schools here are not fully accredited, and that's a problem, because that's one of the big things people look for. And I think that unfortunately falls on personally the superintendent, but the mayor needs to be talking to the superintendent. I know that they'll say the mayor does not have any say in education directly, but indirectly, you're the mayor of our city. You're the champion. You're the cheerleader. You're the person that says, "Hey, what's going on?" And you look over for, Hampton is 100% fully accredited. Wow. And they're like we are. We're a minority majority city. So, Dr. Smith over there until his retirement, I mean, he has the secret sauce. Why not figure out what they're doing better than we are?
Yeah.
Because people are not moving here. I did speak at an engagement the other night, and some people there were from NATO. And I can't fact check this, but they said they were told they cannot live in Norfolk if they're going to be part of NATO. That was because of the crime in the schools.
Wow.
And I said, look, this is my city. I want you here. You're home to NATO, but yet your employees can't be here. So that's very frustrating. But yeah, the casino, I don't think residents of Norfolk have confidence that this is going to get done. And I'm a little offended at the way it just all of a sudden got dropped as a groundbreaking on October 30th. Right before an election, when this thing has been ongoing, and it's not what we talked about. It's not what was approved. I think it should go back to referendum again, and to see if the people really want, the residents still want what is proposed.
Well, and you honestly, you can't blame the residents for not being all in as far as for the casino and just really the development, because I'm seeing a lot of cities, well, it's not a lot of cities, but I've seen certain cities within Hampton Roads, Norfolk included, so much new development, but yet, okay, what about projects that hasn't been finished? Or when are you gonna, again, that's why I go back to the ghost town. Like I'll be driving around certain spots, I'm like, what is going on? And it's sad because you could literally be on the exact same street. Across the street, you have a very nice shopping center. Across the on the other side, you have a ghost town. That ghost town will have all the crime, all the this, all of that happening. But I'm like, wait a minute, I can literally step across and I'm safe. So what's the deal? I mean, and that's always been kind of like, it's weird because Ghent is very close to a lot of stuff, and everybody will say, okay, Ghent is a very well put together area in Norfolk, but it's like 2 feet away, you're in impoverished communities. And with a lot of the development of, I'm gonna say, luxury apartments, and I say luxury because I know they're not cheap when it comes to rent. Yeah. What happens as far as with affordable housing? Because then you have a lot of, because you do have a large community of lower income areas, and it's like where are they going? And that's why I just feel as though there's so much, projects this, projects that. Wait a minute, slow down. So I mean, Tommy, have you kind of had the same thought process as maybe the city is moving ahead on too many projects and not kind of taking its time, and let's finish this because you've spoken with residents and possibly they have the same mindset?
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, one of the things that we're doing is we're trying to do 12 things, subpar versus doing 6 things very well. And that's been a big problem with us is the lack of focus, and certainly I feel the lack of leadership. That's why I'm running, certainly for mayor, to let people know I'm not leaving my city. I want to be the mayor that's accountable. I want to be the mayor and going to be that mayor that's around. I want to be the mayor that's going to make sure that things are taken care of. That's it's not asleep on my watch. And also, I'm going to hold city council accountable. When you think about the people of these neighborhoods, they're just not feeling that they're heard. And when I talk to them, they really have 3 representatives in our city. They have their ward, then they have their super ward, and then they have their mayor. And if you're not getting that kind of, if you're not feeling that any of those individuals are not listening to you, you get very frustrated and you get turned off. And that's a problem. And certainly we got to hold not only me accountable, but holding the city council as well accountable. That's a big deal in Norfolk. And I think that we have so much untapped potential. I mean, I felt that we've squandered a few opportunities that most cities don't even get. And we keep kicking that can down the road. MacArthur Mall, we knew in 2017 that Nordstrom's, the CEO, announced that she was not going to be renewing the lease. So we knew in 2020 that they were going to close, and not just in Norfolk, but in other Nordstroms across the country. So that was not new to Norfolk. These are not only problems directly with Norfolk, but it's 2024 and we still don't have a plan for what's going into Nordstrom's. Now we've recently purchased the mall,
Hmm.
and which I don't disagree with that purchase, but it's gotten to the point like, what are we going to do with it? And I'm not
Yeah.
typically buy something without a plan, and we don't have a plan. And now it's a non-taxable asset. We have a lot of non-taxable property in Norfolk, and we just added that to our inventory shelf along with Military Circle. Again,
Wow.
nothing moving forward there, which has been a little disappointing in ways. There's just no revitalization. There's just no. It just doesn't seem like there's a plan. I mean, we talk about doing things collectively, and it's just gotten so frustrated with that. And that's what I'm hoping to bring to Norfolk is that collaboration. It sounds easier. It's easier said than done, but
Hmm.
hopefully bringing those new people to the table with these new ideas and creative ideas, and that making sure, hey, what can we do now? Because we should be open for business, and we should say there's no vacancies, but that's not the case. We have people leaving our city. I saw a stat that said, we're 4% decline in population to where a lot of surrounding cities are actually increasing. And that's frustrating in a lot of ways. We are a gem on the water. We have the Elizabeth River. We have the Chesapeake Bay. And you think about that, and there's really nowhere to even like go to eat on the water in our city.
Very true. Very
and,
true.
and we're not focused on that. Even the casino now is not, doesn't even have a marina option. So now that's not even going to happen. And I'm very nervous about. I didn't like the location before when it was first proposed, was between Amtrak and Harbor.
In the Harbor Park, yeah.
It's almost like it's a very small, it's a tight area, and I think
And I'm glad you brought that up because because my wife and I will catch a game at Harbor Park here and there, and then we also will take the Amtrak and just go out of town. I think the Amtrak is a dope spot. But when they were I guess the printout of how where they were going to be placing the casino, I'm like, wait, where are they putting the casino at again? I'm like, here in this parking lot. I'm like, the parking lot that can fit maybe 50 cars. I'm exaggerating, but I'm just saying, like, I'm like, is this gonna be like just a really a tight knit? I'm very lost with that. So I mean, I'm glad I'm not the only one, because I'm like, what is going on with that?
Part of that honestly came from, they were trying to at one point, and if you go back and dig down in it, it was going to be ultimately sovereign land. Was the idea with the Pamunkey tribe, and that's where that part came from. And that was in its own little boondoggle at one point. And now, thank goodness, we got lucky and not good that we didn't turn it into sovereign land. But we didn't. Again, it goes back to picking our partners. We had Pamunkey tribe, and then we also had John Yarborough, the billionaire who was going to do the project. And the current mayor is on record of saying, I never even met the person, or actually, I never even spoke to John Yarborough. And I think that's crazy to have a $700+ million project and never have even met with the person who's talking about funding here in Norfolk. I mean, I think in itself that's a crazy piece. So,
and I'm assuming a lot of these projects are. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Tom.
No. I mean, that was the with it going there. It's just it felt like you're literally trying to fit 10 pounds into a 5-pound location.
Yeah.
I would share with you personally, Arrington. I'm nervous for what's going to happen with Amtrak, because they're going to lose their parking spaces for a bit while this project moves forward. I'm nervous about that. Like you said, I mean, Meg and I, we can jump on and we'll go up to New York. Our youngest son lives in Brooklyn. And so it's fantastic to be able to do that. I'm nervous about that. I'm also nervous about Harbor Park. It's a 30-plus-year-old ballpark. It's no longer owned by Ken Young. It was sold a year ago to Diamond Baseball Holdings. And I'm nervous about that whole part that the Tides could potentially move to another city outside of Norfolk, and I'm not talking like Virginia Beach or Chesapeake or so. I mean, like literally go somewhere else, like as far as like maybe like Richmond. So these are the things that I'm very nervous about with the construction, because Harbor Park now loses a pretty good spot of their parking, which is the dry part, because on the other side where you come down Water Street, it sometimes lives up to its name, which is it's covered in water. So I mean that's a.
Well, another thing, I'm a small business owner, and I see out here and there, I'll see a mom and pop store or mom and pop business in Norfolk, and literally like just few days, like, okay, they're gone. Or a new corporation, a new franchise might open up and then they're gone. What's your plan as far as to help bringing more small business owners to the city of Norfolk. Because again, Norfolk has, I will always say, it's has such great history because you got to see they have their own Amtrak, they have an airport, they have a semi-professional baseball team. They have, well, actually, excuse me, they have two because you have the Norfolk Ties as well.
And
You have, and yep, you have the Ties and the Admirals, and then you have all the arenas. You have the Chrysler Hall, you have the Norfolk Scope, you have the Chartway Arena. I mean, it's so much stuff that is there, and Waterside. I mean, it's so much. So what are you doing, or what's a part of your plan? Say once you're in office, you want to help bring in small businesses to the area.
Yeah, well, small businesses are the backbones to any community, and one of the big things, it's very, very difficult to do business in Norfolk. I mean, that part has been very clearly explained to me by people that live in Norfolk or already have a business in Norfolk and want to expand. They said, you know how easy it was to expand when I opened another place in Chesapeake or Virginia Beach, or they want to look at they're there in Chesapeake or Virginia Beach and they want to come here. That's even its own issue, but it's very challenging, and we have to make that process more streamlined. I will tell you, one of the things with looking at the boards and commissions, how can we make it easier for businesses to do business here? And that's gotten very frustrating. And again, I think that leads to the leadership. I mean, you think about this: you want to bring your business to the city of Norfolk, and all of a sudden you start having a conversation, and that city manager is gone, or that economic development director is gone, and you're starting over, and you're like, you know what? There's no consistency. There's a turnstile. I'm just going to go do business somewhere else, and that's a very frustrating piece. But all the parts that you picked out. We have Norfolk State University, we have Old Dominion University, we have TCC, we have Virginia Wesleyan. We are a mecca of education. We have on the water. We have you said
the
water
premium outlets. You know,
yeah. I mean, and you mentioned Waterside. I mean, Waterside itself, again, potentially a chosen partner. This is not something we have to go back and look at, but maybe. Cordish is not doing as good of a job as they should be doing at Waterside. Part of that's because they're actively suing us for $100 million because they didn't get the option for the casino. They have lost, but they're gonna appeal again. And yet we have this long-term lease for them to manage the property. Me, as the former chair of the Downtown Norfolk Council, I would meet with the GM there on a regular basis, and every time I'd go to meet with the GM, it was a different GM, and it got to the point where it's like, well, hey, why even, you're a large stakeholder in downtown. And the GM, the last one I met with, who's no longer there now, by the way, said, hey, look, I just come here because I got hired by Cordish, and this is where you come to kind of get your teeth cut and then move on. And they're not, there is some good programming there overall, but I mean, there should be bands or, live music. There should be things happening down there. And
absolutely.
One of the things I will tell you is that there's not a lot of places in Norfolk, it's really hard to think of any now, for families. At least the old Waterside, you had Jillian's there, but we don't have a Dave and Buster's. We don't have anywhere to go for family fun. And it's gotten real challenging with even, the food deserts in Norfolk. I mean, that's a challenge. When people have to spend a gallon of gas to go get a gallon of milk, that's frustrating. We have Kindred coming online. Which is a great redevelopment project, certainly amazing with what was able to transform there. But those people that are going to be moving in, there's nowhere to shop. There's no grocery store. That's a challenge. And also, what about you mentioned earlier about we'll say housing. I don't know about the word affordable when it's $2,000 a month. But Gravity just came online downtown. It's right there at the across from Waterside. A couple of the residents I've talked to, hey, what are you doing now that you've moved in? What's going on? And they're like, oh, well, I just go on the interstate and go to Virginia Beach. I was like,
literally, I live here and then I leave. I don't partake in anything that happens within the wow.
I can see the water, which is awesome. I love leaving my place, walking over and walking around the Waterside, walking around the water, not Waterside itself. But ultimately, if I've got to go shopping, to get a black pair of leggings, I got to go to Virginia Beach because there's nowhere in Norfolk. There's no place there. And I mean, to go to the outlet malls, I mean, that's prime outlets. That's its own debacle sometimes with traffic getting out of there. I mean, that can be
Northampton is a pain in the ass sometimes, man. It really is.
Now it's even worse. I mean, it's with that there. I mean, that's the part of lack of vision where it's not all on one person. It's collective.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, goes back to when you have multiple, city managers, you just don't have that consistency. Our former city manager, Marcus Jones, he's down in Charlotte. I mean, he's just tearing it up down there and doing a great job. And that city continues to thrive. But, when you've got the Norfolk Admirals, when you have the Chrysler Museum, when you have the Norfolk Tides, again, great universities. We are a mecca, and yet we're struggling to get business here. I was on the elevator in my building, and this guy looked over and said, "Hey, I see that button on your chest. I see you're running for mayor of Norfolk." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I just moved here 8 months ago." And I said, "Oh, great. Where do you live?" And he said, "Well, we live in Chesapeake. My firm told me when I was hired to not consider Norfolk because I have 2 young children." And in Arrington, it hurt. It was almost as it was a gut punch, because I'd rather them say, "Hey, I want to have a lot of land. I want to cut my grass on the weekends on a ride lawnmower," or something along those lines. But say that, and he said, "Yeah, my wife, we do a lot of stuff on Collie Ave," and I'm like, "Oh man, I live right down the street from there." It's a great little area, but there's also that struggles too. Money is not spent equally across Norfolk. And that's one of the things. It doesn't always need to balance out every day, but it needs to balance out over time. And that's not the case. One of the things that I've heard from from the civic leagues is that downtown Norfolk gets all the money, and these projects are failing or haven't been successful or haven't been completed, and yet they're not getting the rewards from that. And so they just feel like they're not getting anything. Downtown Norfolk is. And we're struggling with that. And I do feel that's why we need different leadership, a collaborator, somebody who is going to really be a collaborator and listen to everybody at the table, not take the council in a specific way that person wants to go. And that's challenging. It really is. Getting the right people at the table, boards and commissions. I mean, we're a very diverse city, hands down, but we're not inclusive at all. I mean, we should be looking at a human rights commission. We should have a minority business council. These are things that Norfolk doesn't have, and yet we should be the leader and the innovator in that.
Bringing up the Human Rights Council, I wanted to, because 2 quick things. I know you're extremely busy. I know you have again, this is election night eve, y'all. By the way, this is not just a random day. I just said, hey, let me hit up my buddy Tommy. You want to talk for a little bit? No, this is crunch time. Homeless as well as mental health, right? I feel as though that's a big thing that's happening, really across Hampton Roads, but really, in Norfolk. I can, I see myself right now just driving around town. I might see somebody or a few people, just, chilling on the street, or some people just, and it's sad to say, but, they're either talking to themselves. You can tell they're ill, and they're just, freely sometimes just wandering around in the street while it's, is a busy road. And he's like, whoa, hold it down there. So, what, as far as the the mental health issue happening, and then from there I want to also bring up to education and schooling and school safety. But first I'll talk, want to ask you about mental health and the homeless in the city of Norfolk.
Well, I mean, homeless is an issue nationwide. We know that part, but what are we doing to address it? And that's a big problem with the Community Services Board in Norfolk, with the Homelessness Task Force, which is its own. They fight back and forth. One of the things that I've been very proud of is I've been on the board with 4 kids, and it's FORKIDS, no space. And now I'm the foundation chair for the board. And I was very, it's grassroots. It started in Norfolk, and Norfolk let them leave and moved to Chesapeake. They like to say they're in South Norfolk, but they're in Chesapeake, and that's the problem. And I think we have to look at these private-public partnerships. I want to say, hey, Kate, Norfolk, we have the money. This is the money. So what are we doing? Let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's go and talk to 4 kids about what are they doing. They have a good formula, a grassroots group. Also, these churches. I mean, most churches, my church included, Sacred Heart, we do a soup kitchen on Sunday. All churches do. Find out, what do they need? What are the resources that they need? The food bank, I understand, is now moving to Virginia Beach. It's leaving Norfolk. I mean, these are things that we're not dealing with, and or addressing, because guess what? It's not attractive. It's not fun. But we have to sit down with the experts in this field. I mean, look at what we have here. We have EVMS. We have mental illness. Right? Why are we not partnering with the school? Why are we not getting their expertise to come to the city? One of the things I have found out, municipalities don't do well as those type of things. So let's bring in the experts. And then I
Mhm.
feel that's one of the things Norfolk is missing out on. Again, I've been using that word, collaboration. It's not there. We use like regionalism with the other cities. We don't use that part. One of the things I've said, and I reached out to majority of the candidates that are running for mayor, current mayor, and I said, the president has a G7 summit. Well, one of the things I want to do as mayor going forward is to have a 7-city summit. Why can't we have a mayor's meeting? I'm not talking about the city. I mean, hey, let's collectively work together. Regionalism is really true, and you want to work on it. Let the 7 of us get together on a regular basis, once minimum, but twice a year, roll up the sleeves and talk about what assets does each of our cities hold. Virginia Beach has the oceanfront. We have the Bay. We have the Elizabeth River. Chesapeake has space. Let's talk about how we can work on this with Hampton, Newport News, and even going over to Portsmouth. I'd love to see a ferry that shuttles from Waterside over to the amphitheater on when they have their concerts there. We do it for the Harbor Park for the Tides games. Well, let's do it for that. Let's talk about how we can have food over on our side here at Waterside, go over there and enjoy nightlife over there, a concert, and then come back. I mean, these are things, it's not that difficult when you're really open-minded and creative, and we have those individuals here. It's just gotten frustrated because they don't feel that they've been listened to or they've been ignored. And whether that's in downtown, whether it's in Chesterfield Heights, whether it's in Ocean View, whether it's in East Beach, whether it's in Willoughby, or whether it's in Park Place, they don't feel heard. And that's a problem. And that's one of the things that I know as a former firefighter for 10 years, as a high school baseball coach at Granby High School and Maury High School for 13 years, and also as running a firm, is that I know how to bring the right people together and talk about what is the ultimate goal. And in this situation is building that better Norfolk.
I couldn't agree more with you, Tommy. I mean, bringing people together is key. I tell a lot of my friends, man, when it comes to, especially being a business owner, entrepreneur, like you need to stop having that competitive mindset on like competing against each other. You realize you win in numbers. Sometimes that's why I'm big on networking. I always love, building new relationships. And like you had mentioned before, like, bringing every parts of Norfolk, as well as working alongside other cities, because we're so neck and neck. I mean, literally there was a old conversation in the past saying maybe calling just Hampton Roads, Virginia, not even calling it, taking away the cities. That's how close we are. But I think, man, I hear the passion. I think you have a great platform.
Well, Arrington, you mentioned about education. And that's that's a big deal. I mean, it goes back to what I said earlier about 45% of our schools are not accredited. 3 of our 5 schools are not fully accredited. And this is a very unique election year because you're going to have 3 new school board members. We have to collectively work together, because if we do not have a solid public education system, we are not going to be successful as a city, because every family here, whether it's public school, private school, even homeschooling, deserves an opportunity for a good education. Because just because you can afford to send your children to private school, it might not be a good fit for that family or for that child. So, public school is an option, and we have to fix that. We cannot continue to, our superintendent can't continue to ignore what's going on with hate crimes and cyberbullying in our schools, because people are leaving and going somewhere else. And one of the other parts is, not as many adults are having children now. So now, and that's nationwide. So now you're combating not having as many children into our school system, plus poor school systems. And that's a problem. Our teachers don't feel supported by their principals or by their administration. They do get competitive pay finally, but that's only going to keep people around for so long. They want to, it's a calling, and they want to feel that they're being, that they feel, valued in a lot of ways. And that's not the case when I spoke, to a lot of teachers or educators.
One thing, man, a message I was hearing during your, when you were speaking on, just about your platform, and throughout this conversation, I kept on hearing is representation and, just people wanting to be heard. And I think that's always a big, huge aspect why individuals kind of turn a blind eye to politics, right? They don't like it because they see it as, oh, this person or, these individuals just benefit their own, they're for their own personal gain, and they don't care about us. They, we get them in office and then they forget about us. And they see that. And I understand, like, sometimes that's been, a narrative that has been met. I mean, again, I'm in Chesapeake. We have our own issues happening in the city of Chesapeake. And so Yeah, I won't go too far, but I mean, we have some, some complications happening. But it's just you rarely you see people, and I know a few individuals that are working leadership in the city of Norfolk, and I mean, you have some warriors that are really, really, really passionate about the city, and it's like I wish that message can continue to be spread out to the city, because then as you mentioned, a lot of people are either moving out of the city of Chesapeake. Businesses are leaving, or people are just kind of skipping over, like, oh, let's think of some areas to move up. Let's skip out of here. Even though I went to college in Norfolk, I'm gonna move out of here and this, that. And it's like it's unfair, because Norfolk has so much potential. I remember when I was kind of going quick story. I think I might have been either a freshman in high school or in middle school, and at the time, the Sacramento Kings was up for purchase, and there was a conversation of, hey, maybe Norfolk can purchase, and I was like, let there be an NBA squad in Norfolk. I'm gonna be losing my, just because it's just we enjoy our Admirals, we enjoy our Tides, but we have so many, again, professional athletes that have come out of Norfolk. I mean, I was fortunate. My father, he played a few years professional. I grew up, very close with the late great Pee Wee Whitaker, Bruce Smith. I mean, you name him. I mean, he goes back during the Neptune days, Norfolk Neptune's days, and I mean, he tells me all this great history in the ABA with Dr. J. I'm like, wait, whoa, what? So it's so much great history, and okay, why hasn't that flourished? Why hasn't I think at one point we had an arena football league, right? Yeah. And that didn't stay for. So it's just like we have the potential. I want to ask Tommy. I mean, have you're a sports guy now. You know more in baseball, but would you love to see a professional expansion? I don't know, maybe in the future for the city of Norfolk.
I think it's going to be. I'd say right now that'd be extremely challenging given our corporate businesses that we have here. I don't think they would be afford a full size like that. I mean, we had Norfolk Southern here. Norfolk Southern is no longer here. Mm-hmm. We have ADP, which is great, but the support at full size. I think we want to make sure we don't. We suffer from an identity crisis sometimes. I think maybe being that mid-major city is not a bad thing. Because of the corporate. I mean, it's a lot of money that's going to bring into that. And you think about bringing that here, if we had a basketball team, if we had a hockey team, if we had a baseball team, anything. I think that what we have right now is again, pretty darn good. I think we have to give the support to the Admirals, give our support to the Tides. Maybe, potentially even like, Virginia Beach partner with, maybe that's something that we look at for a Major League Soccer team. That might be because, I mean, they have so many soccer tournaments out in Virginia Beach. It's insane.
Very true.
That could be a partnership. Maybe that's something that looks like what's that Military Highway. I mean, look at, if we could extend light rail from where it is to get to the airport, it could potentially, revitalize Military Highway, that affordable hotels in there, and make that into some type of sportsplex for youth, and then also for a semi-pro team in there. So there's a lot of good parts in there, and that's why I think with the leadership, we suffer from that. I mean, me not being a politician, me being a small business owner, and then moving into a large business owner and a partner at a firm, I think it allows a different perspective for us here in a great city, because I'm not looking for that next rung in the political ladder. I'm staying here in Norfolk. I'm not leaving our great city. So that's when I get back to, I want to be accountable. I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to be around. I'm going to be here. I think that leads to a lot of good things. I mean, I know you've mentioned so many opportunity or so many things that we have together. It's like we have all the ingredients on the shelf. We just can't figure out how to make that recipe work. And it's there. I know it's there in my heart of hearts, because that's why I'm running. And I think we can make that change, giving that opportunity for our voters. I'm using my voice to go out and certainly make that change, but I need their vote to make it count and give me that opportunity. We know what we've had for the last 8 years. I was extremely excited in 2016 to have a person elected mayor. I will be fair with that. I was excited about that. This is going to be opening doors. This is going to be fantastic. And we have literally been in a decline at that point. And that's been very frustrating, not only for residents, but for businesses who have now left or not even consider moving here now. Wow. As the former chair of the Downtown Norfolk Council, I would tell you, we do a thing called Selden Market. It's an incubator space for small businesses. That was one of the things I'm on, because that's small businesses, people that want to come sell their wares. And one of the ideas was they were successful there, they would then move into MacArthur Mall. Well, that's not even the case anymore. So
Wow.
now it's a frustrating thing. We need to get back to getting new people at the table, new ideas, and certainly make it successful, because we have everything here in our great city. We just need people that are willing to listen.
Wow. Well, Tommy, man, look, I'm a long-winded person. I know I feel like I could talk for you for hours, man. And hopefully we'll get the chance to meet in person. But I
Yep.
truly, truly appreciate you taking the time out your busy schedule. As we mentioned before, folks, this is crucial time. I mean, again, it's November 4th. Currently, it is November 4th. It is election eve. And Tommy, I truly thank you, my friend, taking the time out your schedule. I want to put this up just before you jet. This is your website right here. So for people that want to know more about you, I mean, hey, today this is the time right now. So I think polls will be open
6 a.m. tomorrow is when it starts again.
6 a.m. I believe until 7 p.m. is when the polls will be open
Yep.
tomorrow, November 5th, election night. Again, Mr. Tommy Leeman. Tommy, take care, my friend. Any final words you would love to share with the audience before you jet?
I greatly appreciate you giving me this time, and you and I could probably talk for a long time, without a doubt. I can talk, but I'm also a great listener as well. But no, it's time for a change. Certainly building that better Norfolk. And again, give me that opportunity. We know what we've had. Let's do something different. The status quo is not working for our city. So certainly give me that opportunity. You won't be disappointed.
Hey, you heard it there, folks. Look, it's time for some change. It's time for a new face in that leadership role. Again, Tommy Leeman for mayor, the number 4 for mayor.com. Tommy Leeman for mayor.com. Be sure, hey, check out his platform. You only have to this evening and tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. is when the polls open. Tommy, take care, my friend. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
All right. Thank you very much, Arrington. Bye-bye.
You have a great one. Ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed that impactful conversation with Mr. Tommy Leeman. Again, a man that is very passionate about the city of Norfolk, a city that has so much rich history. And as he mentioned, he's like, I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. You hear me? I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay because we do have so much great history, rather than people saying, nope, I'm not going to move here because of this. I'm not going to. No, he has he is explaining of the great stuff, and why you should come to the city of Norfolk. So I truly appreciate him taking the time out of his busy schedule, man, because as we mentioned, this is crunch time. So be sure, my friends, get out there, check out his platform. Again, Tommy Leeman for mayor, the number 4 for mayor.com. You have all day this evening to read up on his platform if you happen to be a resident in the city of Norfolk. And then look, tomorrow is crunch time. Tomorrow is the final day, November 5th, election day. 6 a.m. is when polls open, and it closes at 7 p.m. So y'all take care, my friends. God bless. Be sure to tune into the Arrington Gavin Show Monday through Fridays at 11 p.m. on WDJY 99.1 FM Straight Talk. You can also listen to our program wherever you listen to your podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple. Again, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can also stream us on the streaming platforms of YouTube, Facebook, as well as Rumble. So multiple ways you can tune into us. Again, tomorrow I have I'm going to be doing a special election night pre-show starting at 6 p.m. I will have the opportunity to bring on my good friends Gary McCullum. Gary McCullum is a social justice activist, businessman, all around great guy. A dear friend of mine as well. We're going to have him on the first block. And then on the second block, I have my good friend, Miss Tiffany Boyle. She is the Commissioner of Revenue for the city of Newport News. And we're going to just, talk about the impact of this election cycle, right? On the federal level, on a local level. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun, but also dig deep and talk about the importance, right? Like as far as why doesn't a lot of young people gravitate to politics and having a more understanding, and really not just young people, because I've interacted with a lot of older people that's like, I don't know anything about the politics, so I'm just not going to vote. Guys, we have to take that out of our mindset on not voting. Okay. You have to vote. Your vote is your voice. I don't know if you heard within this conversation I had with Tommy, representation, the power of, wanting your voice to be heard. Well, guess what? That's in your vote. If you want to be heard through your, local officials, as well as on a state level and federal level, guess what? You have to cast your vote. It is your civic duty to do so. And so I don't hear you complaining, and then I hear you not voting. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because I know people that are like that, and I don't pay them any mind because I think it's bogus. But at the end of the day, y'all, it's a huge election at stake tomorrow. So much again, I can't, I don't want to explain too much on it, but we will dive deep and talk about that tomorrow evening. Again, that will be live starting at 6 p.m. on an exclusive The Arrington Gavin Show election night pre-show. Again, I'm welcoming Gary McCullum and also Miss Tiffany Boyle. As for today, my friends, look, we're gonna end up close up this show. I hope y'all enjoyed. Again, I want to thank Mr. Tommy Leeman for taking the time out of his schedule for joining for a great conversation here on the program. And yeah, hope, wish him luck on his campaign. Norfolk, again, is one of the premier cities in the state of Virginia, not even just, in the Hampton Roads area, but really in the state of Virginia. So yeah, I hope, wish him luck. It's a tough race. But again, I'm not gonna lie, I've had some candidates on this show that lucked up, when I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything. But I got a good record here. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyway, my friends, look, y'all take care. God bless. Until next time, my friends, be sure, if you haven't yet, vote. Your vote, your voice. And for those who hasn't and that is registered, please get them out there to vote. I know it might be some undecideds out there. Look, I'm a registered independent, and I'm just like, look, I don't like the whole two-party at all either. But best believe your vote matters, my friends. Your vote matters. And I make sure whoever is elected in the office, you got to keep their foot to the fire. All right. So until next time, my friend, peace and blessings. Stay safe out there.